Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing my product review for the 20-inch Precise Heat stainless steel roaster. Is this the perfect pan for large roasting jobs like turkeys and hams? Watch this video and find out. So you ready? Let's get into this. Just a quick note, my reviews are based upon the things that I think are important. That might be a little bit different for you, so what I recommend doing is after watching my video, you watch a couple of other videos made by different content creators. That way you get a wider range of likes and dislikes and testing criteria. That in turn should help you make a more informed buying decision, and that is the most important thing of all. Okay, here's our box. It's super pretty, but seriously, not super heavy. Typically, I don't really worry about stainless steel roasting pans being heavy or light or whatever the same way I do with regular pans. And that's because when you're dealing with stainless steel pans that you're cooking directly on, the materials and weight and heat retention and everything else are much more important. With this, we're basically giving your food a container to be roasted in, and you're not relying on the surface of the container to actually cook it. That's really oversimplified, but you can really get away with lighter materials on a roasting pan than you can with all this other stuff. At least that's been my experience with it. Now, if it's stainless steel and it's super lightweight and flimsy, that's a whole different story. This is probably the best warranty card I've ever seen in my life. Typically, when you get a lifetime warranty on something, it's the lifetime of the product. But right here it says, if this product fails within the lifetime of the original purchaser, it will be repaired or replaced free. That's a pretty big statement. I mean, within my lifetime? You know, what if I live to be 197 years old?
Are you serious?
Well, if that's the case, I'm gonna have a lot bigger problems than what I'm roasting turkeys in, right? You know, I'm always thinking that I'm being funny when I take these and throw them and I have a cool sound effect and cats and glass breaking and stuff like that. But the joke's on me because I have to go pick these up every time I do that. Well, this pan is said to be able to accommodate up to a 20-pound turkey, so we shall see about that because I'm not sure that's going to fit in here. But first we have the actual rack. All of the parts of this are stainless steel, and this rack is pretty darn solid. I've seen these things being pretty flimsy before, so far we're looking pretty good. It's got these two integrated handles on it too, so you don't have to worry about taking spatulas and sliding them in underneath the bird to get it out. You can just use these handles and pick the entire thing up in one shot. Very nice. Okay, this right here looks to be the lid. Oh, nicely polished. Wow, this is kind of nicer than I thought it would be. It's an expensive pan though, so kind of should be. This isn't the bottom of the pan, this is actually the lid. It goes on this way, but you can see it's distinctly different because when this isn't being the lid for your pan, this also doubles as a serving tray. What? That comes in handy because I can't tell you the number of times I've made a turkey and I don't really know what to do with that big dome lid that I have for my roaster whenever I'm done cooking. It just sort of sits off in the sink. This way it has a secondary use, which I'm all in for. Basically, this comes off your turkey, sets down on your table, and then you're bringing your turkey, setting it back down on there like that, and you can even see that these guys will latch on right onto the sides there, just like that. Can you see it? Down to our roasting pan. Good depth to it. In fact, we're going to measure this in a second. This whole thing is made out of 304 stainless steel, and it's multi-ply construction. This thing is very solid. Riveted handles, nice high polished stainless steel all around on this. So I'll tell you, this is looking pretty good. All right, let's check out the measurements on this thing. So if we're measuring from the outside, then we are at 17 3/4 inches. Okay, how can we get to 20? Let's see. If we go from the outside of the handles, maybe? Oh, yes. From the outside of the handles, we're 20 inch. So that's a useless measurement unless you have a tiny oven or something. Just remember that if you get this pan, you are talking about 16.5 inches of width on the inside. And this does curve in a little bit at the bottom, so at the base, you're not gonna quite get that much. Remember, I'm not measuring this from the inside of the lip, I'm measuring it from the actual part that comes down vertically. If we're talking about the width of this, we're looking at about 10 3/4 inches. And as far as height goes, we got to take that plate at the bottom into consideration. We're looking at about 5.5 inches of depth. If we're using our rack, which you're probably going to be using, that slips right down here in the bottom. And you can see that fits in there really nicely. It doesn't really, oh yeah, it does wobble around a little bit. I just figured out a little hack for this pan also, that if you lift up the tray, you can pull the handles out and they will grab onto the edges of the outside of the roasting pan, and that way you can levitate this up top this way. That way if you're cooking something down on the bottom, you can take a second layer of stuff and put it up here and you can cook them at the same time. I'm going to make the assumption that that's intentional, but one thing to note is if you do that, probably not going to be able to put that lid on properly. Let's try it and see. Kinda. But it would be janky. Okay, so if we are roasting something, say you got a turkey in there, then this would flip over and the lid would go on just like that. It's not a dome lid, so you don't have as much height clearance on this. So we're gonna have to test this out and find out exactly how much of a problem that's gonna be. The height of this pan makes it so it's probably gonna fit a lot more in there than you kind of think it would. I'll tell you what though, so far I'm really liking this because I am a sucker for good looking things. Anyway, let's test this thing out because if it doesn't function, then it's just useless shit, isn't it? To test the pan, I opted to do a roast turkey. The turkey I picked up is almost 21 pounds. You can see right here as I'm trying to fit it into the roasting pan, it just barely fits. Since the pan is a little bit more narrow on the ends, I did have to compress the wings a little bit in order to get the whole thing to sit flush. After that, I just prep the turkey like I normally would. A lot of times I inject butter, didn't do that this time. Also, I normally do stuffing, didn't do that either because really I'm only doing this to test the pan, not to make another Thanksgiving dinner with a whole bunch of leftovers. You can see if you look at the pan from the side, the top of the turkey does stick up quite a bit. Putting the serving tray / lid over the top almost sits nice and flush, but you can see it is lifted up a tiny little bit. If I would have stayed under 20 pounds on the turkey, I think it would have been perfectly fine. But in retrospect, it would have been nice if they had made the serving tray just a tiny bit taller. In any case, if you're looking at a roasting pan like this, keep that in mind because once you get over 20 pounds, it's gonna get a little bit sketchy. At this point, all I gotta do is roast up the turkey for a few hours with the lid on, and once I'm getting ready to brown the top, I can pull that lid off and finish it up. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Okay, once the turkey is done, you can see that I've taken the lid off here to brown it. And if you look in the top here, right there in the middle, you can see where the top of the turkey touched the inside of the lid. So just to reiterate, if you get one of these pans, be wary of how large a bird you're putting in here. Okay, I'm gonna take this out of here, and we're gonna let this rest on the countertop for a second. And you can see that this didn't really fit in here all that bad at the end of the day. Chip looks like he's ready for a snack. Now, like I was saying before, my favorite feature about this pan is that this lid can be used as a serving tray. Remember, the rack that goes in here has got these two handles on it, so it really does make it simple to pull this out and transfer your turkey to the tray, just like that. Cleanup on the roasting pan can be a little bit hit and miss. Remember, it is stainless steel, so you have to clean it like stainless steel. That means there's going to be a little bit of scrubbing involved, and if you have something like Barkeeper's Friend, that will definitely go a long way towards making this pan shine. Remember, this is not one of those non-stick roasting pans, so you will have some stuff that will stick to the surface. The best scenario is always to just keep it as clean as possible at all times and you won't have any problems. Well, I'll tell you what, for a roasting pan, this thing is absolutely beautiful. Admittedly, in the past I've always just used big, ugly, cheap pans, just basically anything that would fit large turkeys. But with those, cleanup has always been a big pain in the ass. With something like this, that's a lot easier, and a big perk that you have with this pan is that the lid turns into that serving tray. That's actually a lot more valuable than you can imagine. And if you've ever roasted a turkey, you'd know that finding the right serving tray for it is always sort of a pain in the neck. Being able to lift the turkey straight out of the pot on the rack and put it right onto the serving tray is a really big perk. Not to mention that it makes the serving a lot easier. If you'd like a little bit more information about the Precise Heat Roaster, I do have an Amazon affiliate link for it down in the description of the video. If you find anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. In case you haven't noticed, I now have the Joe's Phenomenal merch store online. You can see a few of the products I have available down below the video window, and if you go into Spreadshop from down there, you can see all the rest. I also have a link to the store down in the video description. All proceeds from the store go right back into the YouTube channel to try to make it just a little bit better experience for you. If you like this video, you just might like this video right here where I show you how to roast a turkey. If you get a big roaster like this, that is the absolute perfect thing to try it out on. Not to mention that recipe is really easy to follow. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon, and until that time, I'm Joe and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.